It's ready. Okay. Good evening. I'm going to call the February 13th, 2024 Finance Meeting to order. I am present. Councilmember Brennan, Councilmember McPartlin, Councilmember Moskowitz, Town Attorney Finnan, Comptroller Greenwood, Assistant to the Comptroller Wynn. We also have Eric Amberger, Seth Goldstein, Koshin, Michelle Martinelli, Diane Percy, Laura Robertson, Ray Smith, Matt Yetto, Council Member De La Rada, Deputy Supervisor Joe Drescher. We have a few residents present, Confidential Secretary Aaron Cassidy Dorian, and reporter Ted Remsnyder from the Gazette. Evening. May I have a motion to approve the meeting minutes from the January 9th, 2024 Finance meeting?
Motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Are there any changes to those minutes? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those minutes are approved. And we will move on to items for action, and we'll start with a presentation from the Niskayuna Town Logo Work Group. And we'll hear from the chair of that work group,
Good
Marie
evening.
Bozeman. Good evening.
Good evening. I am Marie Bosman. I chair the work group for the redesign of the town logo. This is our second interim progress report to the town. We presented also almost a year ago in March, if you recall. So thank you very much for the time to listen to us tonight. As you know, this work group works on a new logo design, and that is the goal. The agenda. On the agenda tonight is just a general update, and then an update on community outreach work that we did, an update on the RFP process regarding the designer, and then the actual design process that is ahead of us. On the general update, this is just a few items relating back to the March update last year. We presented to you that we have 6 members in the work group, which were also supported by the resolution passed by the town. And just wanted to report that we have lost one of our members. Former town historian Dennis Brennan decided not to continue on the group. And at this event, we as a work group would like to recognize former town historian Dennis Brennan's significant contributions in identifying the need for a logo redesign, getting the work started, and moving it along through this point. His knowledge, integrity, and professionalism were crucial to our approach, and his deep connection to the town was integral to maintaining an efficient and timely process. I would also like to acknowledge that we continue to have David Amadio, John Lemelin, Jocelyn McKinney, and Jennifer Wilkerson, in addition to myself, on this work group. We presented some learnings and ideals at our March 2023 presentation. And for reference, just a reminder that we spent several months studying our town's history, looking at logo changes and redesign efforts at other towns and cities, developing a comprehensive approach to the design process, and interviewing members of the Indigenous communities. These learnings remain the foundation of all the work we do. As far as next steps that we presented to you, this is the slide from that presentation. That was when we gave you a leadership update. Next steps there was that the work group will complete the community questionnaire, which we did. We organized the outreach to the community. We made community connections by surveying the community using the questionnaire that we developed. We arranged for some publicity, and we also reached out to the Comprehensive Plan Committee, which you know is also working on surveying the community. we connected with them and talked to them, and after the deliberation decided it would be most efficient for all to continue the logo survey as a separate project, just so you know that that ran separately. Concluding the community work, we started the design process with the RFP in the fall, and still to come would then be the final presentation to the board of a design proposal. So a little bit more on the community outreach. This was an important part of the work group's process. Two things motivated and inspired us. First of all, the town resolution allows a work group consisting of community members to handle the process of finding a new town logo. That set the tone for community involvement. And then also our conversations with members of the Indigenous community emphasized inclusiveness as a core value. They urged us to understand the values that drive us as a community and to know what our dreams for the future are. For us to know that, we have to go out to the broader community, which we did. These are pictures from our table that we had at Niska Day. This is a little bit of a busy slide, but it's meant to show you the process that we followed. The questionnaire that we developed had 5 categories. 4 were questions where respondents were able to pick, or were asked to pick the top 3. The 4 questions were around descriptors, Niskayuna is, possible logo elements, memorable landmarks, and attributes, answering who do we want to be. And the 5th category was a write-in option, along the lines of what makes Niskayuna unique to me. We had 2 sort of lines of connecting in person and also online. The in-person connections we did with posters, mostly with large posters where respondents were able to use colored dots to add their votes to their top 3 categories. It was very user-friendly and led to many interesting conversations. We used this at Niska Day, at several Saturdays at the farmers market, and then also we did a session at the Eddy. About 130 individuals documented their responses, and as I said, we had many interesting conversations, which we also documented. For the online portion, we had a Google survey with the same questionnaire that was open from June through September. We spread the link to this through word of mouth, articles, a link on the town website, and red lawn signs that we posted around town with a QR code. There we obtained about 326 individual responses. So in total, almost 500 individual responses. We compiled all the results in various spreadsheets. We counted 4,992 total votes. So little dots and answers, and 170 unique comments. We ranked the votes per category and overall, and summarized and tagged the comments, and all of this information will be provided to the designer. The community outreach results, just for if you're interested, the top results in these 4 questions, what is Niskayuna is, excellent schools, it's great for families, beautiful with ways to enjoy nature, known for scientific innovation and excellence. And this is out of about 10 to 12 items in each of these questions. So those were the top 3. Around possible logo elements, the top ones were world-class innovation and scientific excellence, Niskayuna, as the only town with this name. You can Google it. Nobody else in the world has this name. And then established in 1809 also came out top. Along the memorable landmarks, Lock 7 is the most popular, Lions Park train station, parks and open spaces, and then attributes, who do we want to be, welcoming and inclusive. So it looks to us like the categories fall along education, our schools, the science, scientific excellence, some of our history, if you look at the name and when we were established, Lock 7 and so on, the natural beauty of our area, and then for sure attributes, who do we want to be, who do we dream of being, welcoming and inclusive. So that is from the 4 questions. Additional results from our work. The comments were very, very valuable. They addressed various aspects, including community, design, critique of the project, of course, history aspects, diversity, education, hometown, lifestyle, nature, values, safety, places, events. Very interesting, and people were very sincere in providing that. The work group has developed design goals to be objective, representative, holistic, simple, and accurate, and these remain in place, and guiding posts. And then, of course, very important, the Indigenous learnings, as mentioned before. From those, we learned that the redesign is the right thing to do. We should aim for inclusion and inspiration, understand our values, know the past, live in the present, and dream for a better future. So these things also are part of the results. The RFP process started in October 2023 and ended this past January last month. What we did there in October and in November, we developed a professional RFP using some work group expertise on our work group. One of our members is an RFP guru from a career perspective, so that was very helpful. And then the town was also very helpful, and town council reviewed our RFP before it went out. Thank you very much for that. November 11, the RFP was distributed via email to a vetted list of design firms, and the process proposal deadline was December 13th, and we received 4 submissions. In the middle of December, the work group members individually and as a group worked through all these proposals. I'll tell you a little bit more in the next slide about that. And at the end of December, we extended an offer, again with help from town, and town council made sure that all of that is correct. The process of selecting a designer, just so that you know, that we try to be very thorough with that. We received the 4 proposals. There were 78 pages in total to read and study. We compiled our comments individually and then also combined it as a group. And there was actually a quantitative process around the RFP requirements. We assigned 10% to a statement of qualifications, 50% to relevant portfolio examples, 20% to an example of a similar project or more than one, 20% to an explanation of the process and the schedule for the work. In addition to that, we required client recommendations, information on staff or subcontractors, if applicable, and their proposed budget. The town approved $3,000 for this initial phase of the work. And the designers all came in at or below that budget. The final selection was then based on the designer that received the highest score, which was Cinder Design. And just so you know, we also received submissions from as far as South Africa, coincidentally. Cinder Design Company is a 2-person multidisciplinary team. They focus on brand identity, campaign marketing, and information design. They're located here in Schenectady. The contract was signed and completed in January. As far as the upcoming work, there's a timeline with 4 phases of the work, and this was proposed by the designer and accepted as such by the work group. The first phase is discovery and planning. Our first meeting with the designers will be next Thursday, February 22nd. This phase should be 3 to 4 weeks. The design ideation phase is another 2 to 3 weeks. Refining the design is the 3rd phase, another few weeks. And then the final phase is delivery and implementation with 5 hours of ongoing support. Based on this timeline, we hope to be back to the town board with a recommended design in June of 2024. Just to mention that out of scope for this particular project is a more holistic approach to all of the town's ways of representing itself, including the flags hanging behind you there, and various symbols we have around here. The scope of this project is to find a new design. Further work might be a next phase, depending on what you all decide. That is the end of the presentation. Thank you very much. Are there any questions or any discussion?
I have a question about the recommendations. So in your presentations, it sounds as though the design firm will have one recommendation for us in June, or will there be multiple?
So you will recall that we asked you if you would like someone from the town on this part of this process, because we will receive, as a work group, we will receive different, how do I get to the previous? I don't know how to get to the previous slide, but we will receive during the ideation process and the proposal process as a work group, we'll go through different iterations. What we'll bring to the town will be the final design.
Is there anyone on the town board who'd like to be a member of that group to help with this process?
Well, I didn't I guess, were we aware that that's what we were going to get, one design and that was the end, or I thought we might get choices.
I'm not sure.
So it is a decision that, we can still make.
Yeah,
If
absolutely.
you'd like an interim progress report, maybe when we have 3 different designs.
I think that'd be a good idea. For me, myself personally, I think that, this is a very big thing for the town. And we really appreciate all the hard work that you've done in your committee on this. And we're trying to correct, as you know, some things from the past, and we want to try to do it right.
Yes,
So-
yes.
We're not in a hurry, but we do want to get it done, and we do want to do it right. But I think that having, as much input as possible would be good.
I think so too. Ideally, someone from the town is on this work group and starting on February 22nd stays in this process with the designers as a strong connection to the town. Unfortunately, we lost the town historian in this process, which would have been our connection. But regardless of that, someone is welcome to join. I did extend the invitation to Town Supervisor Puccioni, so it remains open.
I'd be happy to serve.
Uh,
That'd be great.
We would be happy
Thank
to
you.
welcome you onto the work group. May I just say that it is the work group's hope and desire that such a person, such as you, is there through the whole process, because we've gone through a lot of work, and it would be hard to have someone new come in and ask questions that have already been answered, if you understand what I mean. But yes, we will include you on our work group invitation.
Thank you.
So one more question. So the designers, are they going to be bringing you multiple
Yes.
choices?
Yes, yes. So the design phases, as laid out in that timeline, includes meetings that will be held, 2 to 3 meetings during each phase. Some of them might not be in person, but some of them will be in person. And so it is there's a lot of communication and a very deliberate process working the collaboration between the work group and the designers. They don't just come out of the blue. And especially also this first meeting, we've already distributed some information to them on the history of the town, on the community survey for them to study. And so we hope to have a lot of communication and back and forth, not just the one direction, if that answers your question.
Have you given them like the town seal and the logo that we have now and the flag, all different, right?
Yes, we have a whole compilation of things that we find on trucks and apparel. We take pictures where we go and pass it. We did put that in a file and passed it on to them for consideration.
Along with all of the extensive research you conducted. It's
Yes.
quite a bit of research you all conducted, qualitative and quantitative research. So
Yeah.
thank you for that.
Yes, of course. That was the fun part.
Yes. Is there anyone else? John, thank you so much for volunteering. Jason,
Yes,
I saw
thank you very
were
much.
maybe interested. Would you like to volunteer as well?
Sure, I'd be happy to be a part of it. I had sat in on the work group's first couple of meetings, so I'd be happy to
Excellent.
sit in on it again.
2 new members. that makes us very happy. Thank you very much. I
Thank
will
you.
include you in the email communications.
And any other
Anything
questions?
else?
I just want to say thank you for all of your work. You've
Yes.
been instrumental in moving this forward, and you've taken a very logical, research-driven approach, which I appreciate as a researcher, and I know you are a researcher as well. So this is very good for the town. Thank you.
Thank you. It's our pleasure.
Okay. Now that the work group has completed their presentation, Seth, do we need to turn off the technology or anything, or will it just turn off on its own? Will it go?
It's fine.
It's fine? Okay.
Yeah, it's not. The camera's on them right now.
Okay, I just didn't know if it would be distracting or anything. Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
All right, for items for action, the first is a resolution authorizing the supervisor to sign the engagement letter for the annual audit. We've continued with the same company for quite some years. We were intending to engage them again this year. Second is a resolution to increase the price for memorial benches from $595 to $605. This is because the plaques that we get to go on those benches have increased in cost. So this is just to keep the benches at cost for the residents who go ahead and purchase those memorial benches. The third is a resolution to approve annual updates to the employee handbook. And again, that's just to keep up with administrative updates and any changes in New York State law that we need to abide by. We need finance approval for the annual support of the Niska Day fireworks at $5,500, which was budgeted for.
Does anyone have any questions about that? All right, all those in favor of the Niska Day fireworks annual support in the amount of $5,500, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed to that? All right, that has finance approval.
Okay, we needed some finance approval as well for updated signage at Town Hall. That estimate came in at just over $6,000.
Are there any questions about that new signage?
Is it just signage for around the outside of the building or inside?
It is signage for inside of the building, as well as outside for the police department. The process, we had Jean Fody and Aaron Cassidy Dorian working with Superintendent of Highway Ray Smith and Chief Koshin to identify needs internally and also externally. And I believe we worked with Ray to identify the vendor, someone you have extensive experience working with and has done signage for the town. And any questions? Oh, do you want to come up? This really isn't the time for questions, but go ahead. It's okay. Are you sure? Any other questions?
No, I'm glad we're doing this. I found 2 lost citizens here the other day looking for the police department, trying to read signs. So this is, I think, going to really help everyone navigate Town Hall and feel welcome.
I think most of the signage here is probably from when the building was originally opened. So I think it'll be nice to have a nice clean look and updated locations.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So all those in favor of approving the $6,035 for signage at Town Hall signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that has been approved.
Okay, the next item is a discussion regarding the budgetary modifications that we're compiling. Again, we're wrapping up the end of 2023 and just making sure all the accounts are balanced out. We've had a couple small modifications we'll need for 2024 as well. You'll see those all listed out for the board meeting at the end of the month. Additionally, a little bit of a discussion regarding the process for considering the salaries of the elected town officials that the supervisor had asked me to work on. I spoke at length with Bill but last week was it, or the week prior? Anyway, fairly recently, about process and what we thought would work. So my understanding is that each board member will appoint a person to be part of this committee. If you can get their contact information to me, I have been compiling a lot of information of what elected officials in the various positions make in all the other towns surrounding us, both in Schenectady County and similarly sized towns and that are neighboring. And so my thought was I will compile initially a bit of a read ahead for folks, then sit down with them in an initial meeting, kind of talk through what information they would need in addition to that to make some consideration. And I'll basically serve as their gopher and pick up information and compile it for them. And as they work through, probably, I would assume 3 to 4 meetings going through the information, analyzing it, and making recommendations then to the town board. So does anyone have any questions about that?
In my discussions with Beth, we felt that was, a fair way for all of us board members to reach out to people that we think would be good members to be on that group. Also, I think to have it in a bipartisan way, if those individuals are registered in a particular party, I think we need to have, 2 Republicans, 2 Democrats, and if possible, an independent person so that we have, that representation from everyone in the town. So those are things that I think we need to keep in mind. And as Beth and I discussed, I think it's best if we reach out first to the individuals. Then if we get a commitment, then we can give those names to her.
Good idea.
I think this is very similar to the approach that was used in 2001 when a similar committee was formed and made recommendations. And in speaking with Councilmember McPartlin and Comptroller Greenwood, I will not be making a recommendation. I'm going to allow Deputy Supervisor Drescher to make a recommendation for the committee on my behalf.
Right.
Are there-
Just, there would need to be a resolution to establish the committee with the appointments and set forth what it is that they specifically will be tasked to do.
Okay, so that will need to be a resolution. I don't know if people have time to get that by the end of this month or certainly by next month, but we'll get that organized. And if there are additionally any considerations that the board members would like me to do some research on to compile into the read ahead, I'm happy to do that. If you just drop me a quick email, I will make sure that I give the committee as much information as they need to get started. I do need to add from the floor, there is on the agenda meeting, but I didn't get it onto my finance agenda, a tentative resolution to hire outside counsel to handle planning board meetings and matters to support the town attorney with additional coverage as needed. And I believe that Chief Cochin also has something to add from the floor.
As do I. I can go after you. No, I'll go last.
I apologize. Good evening, everyone. We get the paperwork for our discovery grant monies after our committee meeting. As many of you are aware, January 1st, 2020, the reform for New York State discovery and bail laws took effect. We have subsequently been applying in conjunction with the DA's office through DCGS and the state for grant monies associated with these changes to discovery and bail reform laws. Specifically, we have a discovery clerk. This amount for this grant is $40,610, which covers the cost of that discovery clerk position, who is specifically assigned to keep us in compliance with all those discovery laws. So it's just accepting that money. That's all it is. Anybody have any questions?
Hiring an additional person?
Nope. It's John Serrata. It's our current discovery clerk.
Sorry, money to pay for the salary. Excellent.
And this is reflected in the budget, both on the expenditures and on the revenue side already.
Okay, and then I am creating a subcommittee to develop the processes for committee appointments. The members will be led by Joe Drescher. Bill McPartlin will be on the committee, as well as Jason Moskowitz, Laura Robertson, our town planner, and Eric Amberger will also be on the committee because they oversee the committees which have resident volunteers. And I will have Joe reach out and take the lead on organizing the dates for you all to meet and discuss the process. Okay. Well, that's all we have for items for action. And it looks like everything else will be discussed during our agenda meeting. So at this time, I will make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We stand adjourned and we'll move right into our agenda committee meeting.